The village of Kinyaga was nestled in the hills, surrounded by rich forests and rivers that shimmered in the sunlight. In the village, tradition was everything, and any sign of difference was often met with fear and ridicule. This was the fate of young Amare, a boy born with a handsome face, but a body much smaller than any other child in the village. His parents, burdened by shame, abandoned him when he was only 4 months old, leaving him at the doorstep of his grandmother's modest home. Amare's grandmother, Nia, was known in the village as a wise woman, skilled in herbal medicine. She had a deep love for her grandson, refusing to see him as a burden. Though his parents wanted nothing to do with him, Nia took him in, her heart full of warmth and her eyes seeing the boy's inner potential. She raised Amare with stories of healing and ancient wisdom passed down through generations. As the years passed, Amare grew, but his body remained small, much to the village's amusement. He was often mocked by the other children, called names that stung like thorns, and whispered about behind his back. But despite the cruelty, Amare had something no one could take from him, his hidden gift. His grandmother, who had been teaching him the art of healing with herbs, knew that Amare had a unique talent that even she couldn't fully comprehend. The plants seemed to speak to him. He understood their properties in ways that defied explanation. One day, Nia grew ill, and Amare, still young but wise beyond his years, used the knowledge she had passed on to heal her. It was his first act as a healer, but no one in the village knew. They still saw him as an outcast, a short, insignificant boy. But deep within, Amare knew that he was destined for more. As Amare entered adulthood, his hidden talents became impossible to ignore. Word spread slowly at first. A woman in the village, suffering from an illness that no healer could cure, was treated by Amare in secret. The villagers were stunned when she recovered, but they didn't believe Amare had anything to do with it. It was a coincidence, they said. He is just a midget. How could he heal? But then more stories emerged. People were cured of fevers, wounds healed faster, and even the most hopeless cases seemed to recover after visiting Amare. Slowly, the ridicule and laughter gave way to whispers of awe. Maybe there's something to him after all, they murmured. And yet, despite his growing reputation as a healer, many still looked down on him for his small stature. The handsome face couldn't distract from the fact that he was different. And difference in Kinyaga was feared. The young women of the village, known for their beauty and grace, began to visit Amare more frequently, not just for healing, but in hopes of winning his heart. Now that he had proven his worth, they no longer saw his height as a flaw. But Amare wasn't interested in their sudden change of heart. He wanted a love that was pure, a love that went beyond appearances, and so he turned them all away, despite their flattery and attempts to win his affection. On the edge of the village lived a woman named Ayo, shunned by the villagers for a reason far worse than Amare's height. Ayo was born with only one eye, a large, beautiful eye that shone with intelligence. But her other eye socket was empty, covered with a cloth. Her appearance made the villagers uneasy, and they whispered cruel things behind her back, mocking her for her difference. Like Amare, Ayo had grown used to the rejection, but unlike him, she had found solace in cooking. She made meals that brought joy to anyone who tasted them, and although the villagers never thanked her openly, the poor often sought her out for comfort. They believed her food had the power to heal not just the body, but the soul. One day, Amare, curious about the woman who was spoken of in the same hushed tones he had grown accustomed to hearing about himself, visited Ayo. When he arrived, he found her in a small, cozy kitchen, cooking over a fire. The scent of her food filled the air, warm and inviting. She greeted him with a smile, her one eye filled with kindness, and offered him a plate of food. As they talked, Amare felt something stir in his heart. Ayo, though different like him, radiated a beauty and strength that he had never encountered before. Her soul shone brightly, and her gentle nature touched him deeply. Over time, the two became close, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day. As their relationship blossomed, the villagers began to take notice. They were shocked that Amare, who now held a place of honor as the village healer, would choose Ayo, the one-eyed woman, as his companion. How could he love her? They asked, their words dripping with disdain. The beautiful girls who had once sought his affection now felt betrayed, their jealousy fueling gossip and ridicule. Some even went as far as to accuse Ayo of using dark magic to win his love. Amare's parents, who had abandoned him years ago, suddenly reappeared, claiming they wanted to make amends. But it was clear they were only interested in his newfound status as a healer. They begged him to leave Ayo, saying, "You deserve someone better, someone normal." But Amare, who had lived his whole life as an outcast, saw through their false concern. He knew they hadn't changed, and their desire for him to fit into their narrow idea of respectability only fueled his resolve. "I will not abandon the woman I love," Amare said firmly, looking his parents in the eye. "Ayo is my heart, and she sees me for who I truly am, just as I see her. I will not betray her because of your shallow ideals." His parents left, angry and embarrassed, and the village's gossip grew louder. But Amare and Ayo stood strong together, knowing that their love was deeper than the village's ignorance. One fateful day, a terrible sickness spread through the village, affecting everyone, rich and poor alike. The villagers in desperation turned to Amare, who worked tirelessly to heal the sick. Ayo too played her part. She cooked large meals for the afflicted, her food bringing comfort and warmth to those on the brink of despair. As they worked together, the village began to see them not as outcasts, but as saviors. The healing that Amare provided wasn't just from his herbal remedies. It was from the strength and love that he and Ayo shared. The villagers began to whisper once more, but this time with reverence. They realized that the very people they had shunned were the ones they now depended on for the survival. Slowly, the village's attitudes began to change. The ridicule was replaced with gratitude and even admiration. Amare and Ayo's home became a place where people came not only to be healed, but to learn from their wisdom and compassion. The once cold and judgmental hearts of the villagers softened as they saw the power of love and acceptance in action. Years passed, and Amare and Ayo became beloved figures in the village of Kinyaga. Their love story, once scorned, became a symbol of the village's transformation. They had shown the people that beauty and strength came in many forms, and that difference was something to be celebrated, not feared. Amare continued his work as a healer, but now Ayo stood by his side, her food bringing joy and nourishment to the village. Together they hosted feasts for the poor and the wealthy alike, their home a place where all were welcome. The couple had turned their community into one that cherished its diversity and valued each person for who they truly were. In the end, it wasn't just Amare's healing powers or Ayo's cooking that transformed the village. It was their unwavering love for each other and their refusal to be defined by society's narrow standards. Their legacy was one of compassion, healing, and the simple but profound truth that everyone, no matter how different, has something beautiful to offer the world. Their story would be passed down for generations, a tale of redemption, love, and the power of embracing who you truly are.